May 3rd, 2026, Red River Unitarian Universalist Church proudly presented My Journey by Karrisa Hodge. Karrisa feels it is her duty to her Indigenous relatives to help create safe spaces where people can gain knowledge together. We asked congregation members to show that we are good allies by wearing red, especially red dresses, if at all possible. Welcome from Red River Unitarian Universalists. Thank you for joining us. The religion we practice in this church is centered in the here and now, rather than the hereafter. It is more of a thinking kind of religion than a believing kind. It is governed more by reason than by tradition, more concerned with the present than the past. It is concerned with getting the most out of life, with living wisely and well. A major aim for us is continually expanding our understanding of life and ourselves. This church is a community of people who share in the free and open search for a level of understanding that will enable us to be more fully and effectively alive. The church does not tell us what we must believe. It stimulates us to think. It supports us in our search. You are welcome to join us. Our centering value is love, with transformation, generosity, equity, interdependence, justice, and pluralism.
We at Red River Unitarian Universalist Church can choose to be allies to our Indigenous neighbors. We can care for the earth, respect and support Indigenous sovereignty, consider future generations in all of our actions, slow down and listen more than we talk. Come, let us worship together. As is our custom, if you'd like to come to the table and light a candle for a joy or a challenge, or just to bring more light into this room, please do so while we sit in stillness, listening to our heartbeats and the prelude. It is also our time of giving, to give the speaker more time for her speech. Remember that every offering is a share the bowl offering, where undesignated cash is split between the Texoma Family Shelter and Texoma Earth Day Festival. The bowl awaits, or you may donate online.
Hey, you, hey, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, 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 yo.
Please rise in body or spirit for our chalice lighting and spoken affirmations. The words for our chalice lighting are entitled "For Our Ancestors, for Our Children, and Ourselves," and it's from the Unitarian Universalist Association's website. Each Sunday, we light the chalice of our religious heritage. We do this for our ancestors who taught us through their various religious traditions, and by their actions for justice and hope. We do this for our children, who are learning the traditions we teach, and who learn more from our actions than our words. We do this for ourselves, so that we are inspired to remember our beginnings, reflect on who we are now, and spread our wings as we understand who we seek to become. Join me as together we remind ourselves of the affirmation that is a cornerstone of our free faith tradition. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in freedom, and to help one another. We light the peace candle to remind us of all the places in the world where there is no peace. Join me in the words now on the screen. Lead me from death to life, from falsehood to truth. Lead me from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Lead me from hate to love, from war to peace. Let peace fill our hearts, our world, our universe. You may be seated. Fine.
This Sunday's UU snippet is about the nominating committee. And the purpose of the nominating committee, as you might assume, would be to ensure the long-term health and viability of the Red River UU Church by offering a slate of knowledgeable, skilled, effective members for positions on the Board of Trustees, the Committee on Ministry, and the Nominating Committee. The members of the nominating committee must identify potential leaders for those 3 groups. The nominating committee can't say it today. Consists of 3 members with rotating 3-year terms, with 1 elected each year in our spring congregational meeting. It is important that the nominating committee members are able to meet with all the people in the church and to check with those 3 groups to see who they would perhaps also entertain as a nominee. And the nominating committee tries to interview people and find out who might be interested and to let them know what their duties are if they are elected. During the interview, the job description and requirements are discussed, so nominees thoroughly understand the responsibilities of being a trustee on the board or being a member of the Committee on Ministry or on being in the nominating committee. That's essentially the duties of the nominating committee, and that's all I have to tell you today. There's probably more, but that'll do for today.
It's now time for our practices, which is going to be a video by Jen Oakes. Today's morning assembly speaker is Karrisa Hodge Newkirk, who I'm very grateful for her patience as we weather the little bumps for this service. She is the president and founder of Missing Murdered Indigenous Women, Cheta. She has ancestry to 3 tribal nations from her mother's and father's sides, but she is a tribal member of the Caddo Nation of Oklahoma. She's a single mother to 2 daughters, ages 10 and 3, and has raised and has guardianship of 2 brothers, ages 17 and 21. Karrisa has worked for the Choctaw Nation for 6 years and is a certified public speaker, trainer, and coach through John Maxwell. She is also part of the Oklahoma City Matriarch. Karrisa feels it is her duty to her Indigenous relatives to help create safe spaces where our people can gain knowledge, overcome oppression, and become stronger together.
Kuhat nawe hahat balsa wadishti hano hayonu kumbukia Karrisa Newkirk. What that means is welcome. It's wonderful to be here with all you beautiful people. My name is Karrisa Newkirk. Before I start this, I do want to offer a blessing upon this in my tribal nation language. So, hayu da koyawaba do keyawaba da kanotia hituma boista nawesa niwana heyanu dotspa haaha daa ahe. It is very important for me to share that with you because that's a big part of who I am. And also I wanted to share with you, I wore every piece that I'm wearing today for a reason, because every piece was made with love from somebody that means a whole bunch to me. My auntie made my shawl, my cousin made my medallion. This dress was made for me by another person of my tribal nation, and I made my moccasins. So every piece that I'm wearing today means a lot, and I wanted to share that because as a tribal citizen to a Native nation, all of our stories are sacred. All of our regalia, this is what this is called, is sacred. And to be able to share it with you guys means a lot to me. Most of our stories are not recorded, so this is going to be the first time for me. And so I had to pray on that a lot, but I knew that it was for some good. So what I'm going to share with you guys today, I have not shared fully with anybody before. So I'm going to start from the beginning and share with you guys my journey and what led me to serve my people in this way. I also have to give some justice. That was an old bio. I am married now, and I have 4 children. And so, yes, I did raise my brothers, but they're grown and married now. And I recently worked for the Department of Justice. So I was there serving 22 tribal nations throughout the United States. I came back, as I told Miss Rebecca earlier, to the Choctaw Nation. I served there for 10 years. I'm back, and I am doing environmental protection because I wanted to really protect our sovereignty in every single way that I could in every aspect of my life. So what led me here is a story from when I was a very little girl. The very, very first time I ever witnessed my higher power, my God. I was a little girl and my parents were on drugs, and we hadn't eaten in a couple days, and I didn't know what to do, so I put my hands together and I prayed. I was about 5 years old, and when I opened up my eyes, and I've only shared this with my daughter and my mother, it was a very dark room, and I saw a light in between my hands. And it's very hard to explain to people without sounding a little silly, but I will stick to that story because that's what happened. So I knew then that everything was going to be okay. I didn't know how. I was only 5, but I knew that I had something with me and that it would always be with me. Through my life after that, my grandmother went to prison. My mother stayed on drugs. My mother was kidnapped. She was raped in Dallas, Texas. And I was left alone with my brothers for many days before anybody helped us. We had no food. I did not have a fridge at that time. And during that time, I again got that feeling. I knew something was with me. I knew it wasn't leaving me, and I knew that I would make it through it. The reason that I'm telling you and sharing with you my faith and my story is because it is what's gotten me to where I am. And so during that time, all I knew to do was pray. So I prayed all the time. I was left with my brothers many times, and I know that the only reason my oldest brother, or my biggest one, I'm the oldest, that I ended up getting custody of when I was 22, is alive, is because God was watching over me. I was in 5th grade at the time, and I did not know how to take care of a baby, and I was left with him as a newborn for weeks at a time. And I tell him all the time, you're here for a reason. Because if you were not, I would have rolled over on you. I would have. I was little. So every aspect of my life has come with challenges. It has come with things that I never thought that I would be able to get through. And during that, I always knew that there was something saving me. I then joined my mother and my grandmother, and I did drugs. I did drugs, and I was an alcoholic, and I strayed away from everything I ever knew, and I even contemplated on whether or not I knew what I was even believing in. I struggled really, really hard, and then I got very deep into my culture, and I thought that was my way. And then I thought I had to choose. And then I thought, well, the Bible was written by man, so why do I believe that? And then I came to a point where I knew in my heart, and that I didn't really care about anything else. And I never have judged anybody for anything that they believe either, because I think we all go through that, and we all believe in what we believe that gets us through. And some of my very best friends, they believe so much differently than I do, and sometimes I even don't understand what I believe still. But I knew that when I started this mission, it was because I went through domestic violence. My mother, like I said, was kidnapped. Nobody was looking for her. Nobody cared because she was a druggie, and she worked at a strip club in Dallas, and she was a Native woman. I then, at 15, met a man, and he beat me and kept me away from a lot of people because he made me feel like I wasn't worthy. I then met another man. That is my oldest daughter's dad, and I was raped. And that is actually a story that I cannot tell, that will be recorded. But I was with him for 11 years. And it wasn't until I left him that I realized that I needed to heal myself, because I wasn't strong enough to take care of myself. I wasn't strong enough to take care of this little girl that I had. And I was definitely not strong enough to help anybody. And I always knew that I wanted to serve. I wanted to serve people, though. I wanted to serve everyone. I wanted every single person, no matter of what walk of life they went through, what they did, anything, that there was somebody that loved them and cared and wanted to serve them. And so I went through lots and lots of counseling because of all the things I went through. I think counseling is great, by the way. It's not for everyone. It was great for me. And I sat at my house with my daughter, and I said, okay, I'm healing. This is what this is. This is my healing journey. I'm very big on medicinal plants and herbs. So I saged my house every day. I would sit making myself a little reading corner, and I would read books about everyone's life. Any biography, I love it. And my best friend came to me, and she was also in a domestic violence relationship. So I was healing. She was just now experiencing. She came to my home, and she had cigarette burns all over her. And this friend of mine, she's more of like a family now. She didn't know how to leave. And her mother was murdered. She was a Native woman that was Choctaw that was rolled underneath in a rug and thrown underneath a highway. And then they said that she died from, what is that word? Natural causes, basically. And I was like, how does somebody roll themselves under a rug? So my friend was still battling that because we found that out in 2022. And she was going through this domestic violence. And we sat there, and I'm just going to be very real with you. We were drinking wine on my living room floor. And we were like, why are we going through this? Why did we do this? And I told her I wanted to help her. And so her and her kids came and lived with me for a couple months. And it was in that, between her mom, her trauma, and every trauma that I went through, that I saw that almost every single person that I know has went through domestic violence. And some people you would never even think they have. And I share that with you because the whole synopsis of missing and murdered Indigenous people is drug use, domestic violence, unhousedness, and generational trauma. So I don't share, my story with you just because to share and talk about myself. It's because I want you to understand what makes us more susceptible. So generational trauma for Native people has been happening for a very long time. And then when we are already dealing with trauma, we're more susceptible to domestic violence. We're more susceptible to drug use, to alcoholism, and then domestic violence. And that's where it starts. And so our nonprofit doesn't just serve the missing and the murdered. We also serve domestic violence. We go get them, we rehouse them, we put furniture in their home, we help them get jobs, clothing, and we're with them until they're emotionally, mentally, and physically safe. And so sometimes we have domestic violence victims that are survivors. My aunt calls them surthrivers, where they're with us for sometimes a year or so. But that is, you can't stand for a cause if you aren't trying to do preventative things as well. And so I loved y'all's scripture speech that you wrote up there that you guys all recited, because that's truly the answer is to love and to put peace into the world and peace into our hearts and love your neighbor, the person that's next to you. And so that is what I try to put out into everywhere that I go. She said I was easygoing. I'm just human. I'm not that easygoing. But I truly love that Rebecca was corresponding to me. I love that you guys wanted someone to come here and learn from us. And it's such a great honor. And it's such a big blessing, especially that's what we call things a lot in our Native culture is their blessings. And so it was a blessing, it was a blessing to be asked to be here. So I started my nonprofit and I got a 501c3, which is very hard to get. I had never written a legal document in my entire life. And I wrote it, and I submitted it, and they said, "Did you do this by yourself, or did you have somebody draw it up for you?" And at the time, I was a single mom. So I said, "No, I can't afford that." I'm just going to try to figure it out. Did I do it wrong? And they said, "No, you did it right." And they said, here's your 501c3, and here's your tax exempt letter. I said, "That's crazy. No way." I was a single mom, and I was also a broke single mom. So I had no money. My foundation had no money. And my very first event ever, we call it, back in the ghetto days is what we call it. We had candles and glow sticks. And at that time, I didn't know you needed permits. So we were on the side of a highway, or busy street, and we had indigenous music blowing out of my car, and we were telling anybody and everybody about indigenous people and the issues that we have. And I found out later that that is not legal, so I've never done that again. But I went from there into baking 200 sugar cookies with my Chickasaw grandma and handing them out, because all I knew was to show that I loved people, to being able to have full-time employees and to have a building and to have a pretty good chunk in our bank account. And we have been blessed every single second of the way. And I truly believe it's because we are serving with hearts to serve and trying to live out something that's bigger than us. And I feel like as long as we continue to do that, we will continue to be blessed. We have saved, in the last 5 years, we have saved over 300 missing people. A lot of those were missing children, runaway children. I know that some of you know this, but a lot of our children go to foster care, and sometimes when they're being placed with non-Native families, it's very hard for them, especially if they are culturally raised. And so they run to be with their families, even if their families aren't that great. And sometimes they run and they don't know where they're going to go. And so there's been many times that we have found, and when they run, that makes you more susceptible to human trafficking. So there's been many times that we found children that were human trafficked. One was taken from Edmond, Oklahoma just this last year, and we found them in Austin, Texas. And the only reason we found them is because the Plano Police Department helped us. They stopped in Plano. And so these children need someone to love them and care for them. We have paid close to almost 500 funerals. And so we only pay for funeral services and the headstones if they were murdered. And so we serve the entire state of Oklahoma. And so that's a lot of murdered people. A lot of people don't realize, and they think that MMIP, Missing Murdered Indigenous People, is and we changed it to Missing Murdered Indigenous People to include everyone. My 501c3 still says MMIW, but as times have went on, I wanted to serve everyone no matter what they identified as. And so I tried relatives, I tried people, haven't figured out which one stuck, but they both mean that I serve everyone. And when you are in something like this, a lot of people think that, why are they still griping about this? This isn't an issue. This doesn't really happen. Or my favorite, the statistics aren't that bad. And I do want to share that any Googled statistics are not accurate statistics. Most of them have not been updated in at least 3 to 4 years. The CDC does a really good job, but they have not updated it since 2022. And what they reported in 2022 was the leading cause of death for Native Americans was murder. It was murder and diabetes, which is an Indian joke, but it's real. And so if the CDC that we trust for diseases and all that can acknowledge that Native people are more susceptible to murder than any other race, then I think there might be some truth to it. The last time I checked in Oklahoma, it said that we had 221 missing people. And the biggest areas were Tulsa and Oklahoma City. So most throughout the United States, Oklahoma is rated top 10 of the most missing and murdered Indigenous people, which is crazy because Oklahoma is mostly a reservation. And not only that, but most of the United States so they separate it by the most dangerous for natives to live, by state and then by city. And so most throughout the United States, you don't have two cities within one state that rank top 10, and Oklahoma does. It is Tulsa and Oklahoma City. And so they say that we only have 221 missing people that are unidentified or missing, but we have done more cases than that in just 1 year. So we know that that's not accurate. There are other chapters within Oklahoma that we have a coalition. So it has Texas. So I spoke in Texas yesterday at the Texas one. We have several chapters in Oklahoma, and then we have one in Kansas. And so we are there was an unofficial coalition, so we could all communicate together, and we could all try to help each other, because law enforcement can be great, but sometimes they're not. Now, I will tell you, majority of the ones that I work with now are amazing people. I love them with all my heart, and we serve well with them. There's times that they call us, and they're like, have you seen this missing person? Here's a flyer. I'll make you a flyer. And it's wonderful. That used to not happen. That used to not happen at all. We used to have to track, especially in Oklahoma City, we'd have to go to the homeless camps and run for 8 to 10 hours on foot, trying to talk to everyone we could. And when we would see an officer and we would show them the missing flyer, they wouldn't even know that that person was missing. Lots of times that we run into when there's children and they've run away before, they call them consistent runaways or habitual runaways. And they don't realize that every single time they run away, they're more and more susceptible to be human trafficked. That one little girl that I just shared with you about, she only ran away one time. And she got into this car because she was hungry, and there was a Hispanic couple that said that they would take her to dinner. And so she was 14. And they took her and made her do sexual favors to stay and eat. And so there are several forms of human trafficking that people don't realize. There's, work trafficking, where they make you work like a slave and you have to do all these things to be able to be provided for. There's sexual trafficking. There's child trafficking. And so people think that highways are a big reason for trafficking, and that's not true either. A lot of trafficking happens in our little towns. So there are little towns in Oklahoma that do it. Sometimes it's a family member. And that's happened, or a neighbor. And so one thing that I try to do is I try to go into schools. I've spoken in every college in Oklahoma officially of last year. And I try to do that to make sure that our children are, not just our Native children, but all of our children are aware of what can happen to you and how to be safe, and especially if they're going off to college or just went to college, it's very important. Last year we had 2 back-to-back murdered cases of 17-year-old boys. And one of them was murdered by a sheriff. And we're still sitting there trying to, I can't say his name because it's still going through adjudication right now. We're still going to court. It keeps getting canceled. They found him in a well, and his family was searching for him every single day from December 27th till March 3rd is when we found him. And when we found him, that sheriff had let us search his property, but he did not let us search the well. He had put barricades all around the well. And so it wasn't until we got a drone, not us, but Search and Rescue got a drone, and they were working with us, and they were able to see that there were remains in there. So by the time we got to him, because we had such a harsh winter last year, it was very hard on his family. They never got to see him again. One thing that I personally do is, because of my mother being kidnapped, because of her being raped, because of everything I went through, I try to treat every single case, no matter what I've got going on in my life, with compassion as if it was my mother. And so when we found him, I was actually getting married, and I left my wedding. And thankfully, my husband is kind, because I think most people would be mad. And he said, okay, if that's what we have to do, we have to go. And we went and we left, and we drove 4 hours to be with that family. And we stayed with them until their funeral services. And so we don't just pay for funerals and headstones. We stay with them the entire time. And sometimes we help plan it. Sometimes we bring cultural needs there, whether it be their tribal chairman, their councilman, anything like that. We do all of that. The second boy I spoke on, we are still going to trial for him as well. He actually was only a couple miles from his house, and his mother did not find out for 13 months. She waited for 13 months every single day. And he was murdered by his friend in a circle full of other children. And so all of these children knew, and nobody ever told his mom. And that was a really hard case, because she was interacting with these children. And so every time she sees me, she still just cries, and I cry. She's a beautiful, beautiful person. And she's still having to go through that. And then the worst thing was that she found out that her son didn't even do anything wrong. When we went to the pretrial, the young man said that he just felt like hurting somebody, and he didn't know which person in the circle it was going to be. So he just picked that young man. And so when there's no rhyme or reason, it's hard. It's very hard. And I'm going to say his name. His name was Jackson. His name was Jackson, and he was a beautiful, beautiful Native boy. He was loving and kind and sweet. And I feel like I knew him personally, but I didn't. His mom is amazing. His family has a drum group, and they are mourning him still. And so these stories that I'm telling you today are all from the last year. So I'm not telling you any old ones. They're all ones that I have personally worked, that have recently happened. Another one we had was, because I did tell her I would share stories, so I kind of want you to, I know it's kind of gruesome, and I hate to be that person, but I also want to share with you why there is one, or why there's a need, or why we feel there is a need. And so the biggest need is because we feel like we're unseen. We feel like a lot of people that go missing get Amber Alerts. Their faces are plastered on the news. And these 2 cases I just mentioned, they never got news time until they found out they were passed away. I sent probably 20 different news requests asking for these families to get coverage because they were missing, and I was denied every time. But then when they found out there was a story, they messaged me, and they said, "Can we have that interview now?" And I hope this isn't the only time I see you guys, so you'll learn that I said no. I said, "No, you cannot. If it was not important for you then when we needed you, it is not important for you to know now." And I did get the blessing from his mother to say that. And so that's kind of what we run into a lot. We recently worked a case on a young lady. She was in her late 20s, and her name was Kayla, and she was murdered in front of her children. And her children were then taken away to someone they did not know. It was their father, but it was away from all family, all the way to a whole nother state. They were non-native, and their kids aren't allowed to talk to any of their native family. The worst part about her case was not only that her kids saw these things, but the person that was there on the scene was the person that murdered her. He was who called. And he said, "I don't know. I just got here and somebody must have beat her up. I don't know if she's still alive." And so the fire department, the EMS, the police department were all right there, and he was right there next to her children. And they didn't find out until a couple days later that he was the one who had murdered her. He thankfully is in jail, and I cannot wait. They just had their first trial last month. I cannot wait for him to be arraigned, and I hope that he gets the fullest extent. I don't say that all the time, but anyone that would do that in front of children, that will ruin their lives forever. She was also a wonderful person. Not only was she a single mom, but she was the light of everyone's life. Her favorite color was purple, and she was beautiful. And so every single case that I have, I remember those things because they stick with you right in your heart. And it's like you've lost a piece of yourself, each family that you help, because a piece of me goes with them, because it is such hard work, but it is so rewarding. It is such a blessing to be able to be there with somebody in the hardest times of their lives. It's hard. We've all lost someone, and it's hard. I couldn't imagine someone being taken like that and not experiencing it. But it's also the bright side, is that it's also shown me a way to experience every single day like it was my last. And so I try to, and that's why I share love, and I try as much as I can, because I don't ever want anybody to be taken from me and them not know that I love them, even if I don't know them. I want to make sure that they knew that they were loved by someone. And I genuinely do. I genuinely do. Many things that we go through are hard. But it's also an honor. It's an honor to be trusted with family secrets. It's an honor to be the liaison between the officers and the family, because the families just can't do it sometimes. Sometimes they have a really strong Native woman that is like, "I've got this." But a lot of times they don't. And when you see older men and older women fall to their knees and crying, you know that you have to do something. So we hold their hands. We'll pray with them if that's what they need. We cook food for them. I brought Miss Patricia Wood with me. She's one of our board members, and she cooks more than anybody I know for strangers all the time. But that is a native way of showing that we love you, is cooking for you or gifting you something that means something to us. And so every family we serve, we do, I can't tell you how many fry breads that she's cooked or that I've cooked by Kansas. And we just cook and cook and cook. But we pour our love into that food so that we believe that when we do that, whoever it's feeding, it's filling them with that love. My grandmother told me when I was a little girl, don't ever cook if you're mad. And I was like, what? My kids got to eat. What are you talking about? And I didn't ever believe her until one day we were all sitting at the table and my kids said, you didn't cook this with love. This is a real story. I'm so serious. I said, what do you mean? And they said, you didn't cook this with love. We can tell. I said, is it bad? They said, no, I can just tell. And I didn't. I didn't cook with love that night. I was frustrated. I was just trying to get it done. I was trying to get them fed. I was tired. And it never happened again. I will put music on. I'll light a candle. I'll do something so that I can get in the mood to feed my family, or we go out to eat. So that is something real. That is something that I don't know if it's a Native thing, but it's something that my grandmother told me, and I believe it to my core. And so when we cook for these people, it really means something to me. Every time we cook for services, so we'll cook for funerals sometimes, and we all try to do it together, or we at least try to serve together. Miss Pat is an overachiever, and she likes to cook everything by herself, and then we barely get to help her. She's like, I don't need help. I've been doing this for a long enough time. But what we do is bigger than a movement, and that's the whole thing I want to share with you today. It's not a movement. It's not just wearing a missing and murdered Indigenous T-shirt. It's so much bigger than that. It's people's lives that are touched and changed forever. It's hard work, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. This thing right here goes off. And I don't care what I'm doing. I've canceled birthday parties for my children. I'm not saying to do that. Don't ever do that. But that's how invested I am. And I'm thankful for a board that supports me and sometimes tells me to sit down. And sometimes they'll take the calls. But it's work like that. It's work that doesn't, and that's what kind of bothers me about shelters and things like that, is I love them, I need them, but I wish you were 24 hours a day, because domestic violence doesn't stop at 4:30. I will tell you, majority of the phone calls I get is at midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., Christmas, holidays. Those are when the calls happen. And so we have a board of 10. That's a lot, I know, and you should really sit around the table when we're meeting, because 10 women trying to come to an agreement is a little crazy sometimes. But we always end up doing it because we want to do the best for our community. And it started as our Native community, and then we realized that partnerships with non-Native people are just as important. And so we serve everybody. We do everything we can, even if they're non-Native and we see that somebody was diagnosed with cancer and we don't even know them, we'll still throw a benefit for them, or we'll figure something out. Our real mission is to serve and leave people better than we met them. And I believe that we live that out every day. At least I try. I am human. I do have bad days, I promise. And those days I try to kind of hermit in the house, because my husband's like, I wish people could see this one. And I'm like, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. But it's hard. And so yesterday we were in Dallas in a symposium, and somebody said, well, what do you do for yourself? And it made me sit back and think, and I was like, I don't know. And so I thought and thought and thought, and I thought about it all night, and then I wanted to share it today, is I do things like this. This is what I do for myself. I know it's intertwined, but it's spreading awareness in a different way. And it's sharing love and grace and the story of my ancestors and my family. I was telling Miss Powell on the way down here that 3 generations of women in my family did not take care of their children. My grandmother is still in prison right now from drugs, and that was the choice that she made, and that was hard on our family. This is her 4th time going, or 3rd time going. They mixed together after 10 years and 10 years and 10 years. But, and then my mother, which I do want to celebrate, the reason why I was able to share her story, and I didn't go into detail. If you want details, I'll do that privately. But I was able to share that because she just celebrated 2 years sober. And she is she's still in a program, but she's in Fort Worth, Texas. And she just graduated, and she got a Survivor Leadership Award. So she went from losing her children and losing her culture, losing her family, being kidnapped, being raped, running away, coming back, homelessness for majority of my adult life, to now being a survivor leader. That's amazing. And she gave me permission, which is such an honor, to share the things that she went through, because she had never shared it before. And so she shared it on the 26th of last month. And so I was able to share it for the first time yesterday, and then again today. It was something that I had went through that was very hard when I was a kid, that I was never able to speak about. And so it was healing for both of us. But all of these things are why I do what I do. And so I hope that I gave you some hope today, if not some love. And I hope that it gives you a better understanding of missing murdered Indigenous people. And I hope that you know that if you ever need anything personally, that you can call on me. And I promise you, at least me and Miss Pat will show up. She's always like, okay, what benefit are we doing next? I'm like, sit down, I'm tired. And she's always ready to go as soon as we're done. And I'm like, I need to rest for a second. But we will. And so if you have any questions at this time, I hope I answered everything that you had previously wanted. But if there's any personal or questions about missing murdered Indigenous people or domestic violence or human trafficking or anything at all, actually, I am more than willing to answer. Well, I'm gonna wait. Okay. I gotta listen to her. She's my elder. So, are there no questions? No? No? No question is a silly question. Okay.
Do you have like a coalition across the United States for this movement? And do you like talk to them often, or maybe just through like texting?
So I'm really excited you asked that. So part of this, I realized that we had to start working with people, not only just Oklahoma, Kansas, and Texas. So I just finished writing my bylaws for another 501c3. So nobody knows this. This is new information except for my board. And so we're filing it on Monday for an official coalition for the entire United States. And so, thank you. So I have met and I have contacts with other MMIWs up north in South Dakota and things like that. And so we do help each other. We have a little Facebook chat, but this is going to be more official. So every person will register with our 501c3, and then they'll get access to Teams, our website, and so our cases can be more protected and not on a Facebook chat, because a lot of them do that. But it's because there's no funding. And so a lot of them just, and I do want to mention that everybody that works in our thing does it for free. So we all have, I hate to say a real job, but we all have jobs. And so we work full time, and then we do this on the side. And so usually our vacation days and our sick days are spent doing things like this, and serving families. And so that was a very good question. I'm really excited about it. I feel like it'll help all families be served equally, and so it's a big win for me. I'm excited.
Do you hope that with wider national exposure, you'll be able to get staffing and have a full-time staff, or are you just going to stick with volunteers?
So I do have one full-time staff. I'm looking at hiring a second one. But when I left the DOJ, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if I was ready to go back to Choctaw Nation or what I was going to do. And people ask me, well, why don't you just work for yourself? Everybody wants to do that. And I didn't feel right. I didn't feel, sometimes when you mix money, you lose this because you get tired and you feel like it's just a job. And so I never want to lose this. And so I chose not to do that. Sometimes I wish I would have, but to be honest. But no, I'll never pay myself to do this ever, because I feel like it was blessed and that I have to continue serving. And serving means not getting paid for it. But my hope is that one day there doesn't have to be an MMIW or MMIP or MMIR ever. I do a lot of preventative maintenance, like domestic violence trainings. We do officer trainings. We do trainings all over because we want to equip our people in like things like this that's making you more knowledgeable with skills so that they're more aware, and so maybe they're not going to be as susceptible to these things. And so that is my goal. Even though it was a lot of hard work and I would be sad, I would do something else. I don't want it to be a forever issue.
Where are you based?
We are based in Durant, Oklahoma, off of 9th Street, right across from Wright's. We're actually looking at a new building on Main Street. We're excited. But we serve, like I said, we do serve all of Oklahoma. And we've served people out of Texas. So we just recently had someone from Dallas, Texas, that the Dallas chapter couldn't help because they're not 501c3 yet. And so they sent them our way. I think we went and got her. And we ended up spending a while with her. So we drive all over. We have flown to California to go get somebody. So rehab scams, I don't know if you've ever heard of those. Those are real. So they target Native people because Native tribal nations try to get us signed up on Medicare and on Medicaid, Sooner Care, because our IHSs are free for us. So they were like, well, what better way can we bring some money in than to sign our people up for Sooner Care that apply? Well, these very smart people that run these rehabs know that, and so they started targeting Native tribes, saying, oh, I have this wonderful rehab over here, and it would be in California or somewhere. They'll pay for the flight and everything, and then they get there, and then they actually give them drugs. And so they end up living in kind of a trap house situation, and so we've had to go and retrieve multiple people from California. One person from Arizona, but those are all very, very good questions, and I do want you to be aware of that. So always, if you have a family member that needs to go to rehab, call me or research or something. Don't just send them, please. Anything else?
I'm sure that
Okay.
there are other questions.
I want to, before I get down, Miss Pat and I wanted to bless Miss Rebecca. So when we get to do a big honor like this, we always try to give the person a part of us or something that's important to us. I think I shared that earlier. So this is a medallion. My cousin also made this one. Her name's Megan. and it has our seal on it. So Miss Pat is graciously going to put it on you for me because she's an elder, and that is the biggest honor in our Native tradition.
I could go to her.
Yes.
I got it. Don't even know.
Yes, ma'am. It means more when an elder does it.
I am now overwhelmed. Was not expecting that, and we're a little late. But I think it might be important to listen to the Remember Me song, which is also what you wanted us to do. So after the open dialogue, there was going to be the song Remember Me, which we have listened to, but I think might be more meaningful now. And then we'll finish with extinguishing the chalice.
Hey,
Please rise as you are able and willing, and join me in saying our community promise as we extinguish our chalices. We extinguish these flames, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go in peace and return in love.